Ramona Shelburne, Sarah Spade, Kevin Blackistone, Jackie McMullen. Happy free agency eve! Chloe!
Oh my God!
Give me the schematics!
Borax, I love it.
LeBron, George,
Where's
Clyde.
Jack Bauer? Where is he?
Let's go around the horn. I miss
I'm having those dreams.
It's coming back, you know. I mean, there's going to be a Netflix series. I can't wait. Chloe!
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
Ramona, maybe we can FaceTime tonight. Enzo's been doing this real great trick where he lifts his arm up, then puts it down, makes the Joni Hill face for Moneyball. He does this at 11:59 every night. Oh, I guess you'll be busy. Sorry. What we know, LeBron today made it known he will not pick up his option with the Cavs. Unrestricted at 11:59 tonight. And also we know that the Spurs have wished happy birthday to Kawhi Leonard. Isn't that nice? Momo, start us off. What does this mean?
Well, look, LeBron had a choice here, and we were all expecting him to do this, and yet this week, as the Lakers were sort of calling San Antonio and rushing to see if they could get one piece there before they could make an offer or they could go after LeBron in free agency, there was a sense of urgency because he could theoretically just stay in Cleveland. He didn't have to do this. And so the idea that now there's not that pressure on teams like the Lakers or the Sixers who are trying to get someone else there to be a co-star with LeBron James before he was a free agent, that pressure is now gone.
But does this mean the Cavs are out? That's not what I'm reading. No, okay.
No, I mean, I think this means that the only teams that really are still in this are the teams with cap space and the Cavaliers. It doesn't mean he has to leave Cleveland. It just means, though, he is a free agent, and teams like the Houston Rockets, who were counting on if the only way they could really get in this is if he picked up that option and then did a trade.
Sarah, you have a view of LeBron declining that option?
Yeah, it's actually good news for the Cavs. If he had opted in, it likely would have indicated that he had an idea for a sign and trade with a team that doesn't have the cap space to sign him outright. But by deciding to opt out, essentially by not opting in, that means it's probably a three-team race. The Cavs, who have an opportunity because of the bird rights, and the Lakers and the Sixers, they're the only teams that can sign him outright with the cap space that they have. So this really sort of focuses the attention on those teams that are interested. And now it's just a matter of whether LeBron wants to be the first guy to say, I'm going to L.A., which is where I think he's going to end up, or whether the Spurs find a way to make a deal with L.A. to send Kawhi, or Paul George makes his plans known, and they're the first domino to fall.
KB, you on the same page as Sarah? It's a three-team race now, Philly, L.A., and Cleveland?
The Lakers are in there. So, this is something we've seen LeBron do before, right? This isn't the first. The only different thing now for the Cavaliers is that they're way, way over the salary cap, and so they don't have as much room to maneuver with that roster to make it more attractive to LeBron to stay there and go after that championship. All eyes have got to be on L.A. That seems to be the best fit. That's where he can get the most money. That's where he might have the best chance to challenge again to get that next ring. But otherwise, this is just the smoke signal to the rest of the league, I think, as was being alluded to, as to what's going on, where LeBron's going to go or where he's not going to go. And if he decides to stay in Cleveland like he has in the past, he will.
Jackie Mack?
So I don't want to say this is nothing because it is an official thing, but boy, it feels like a formality to me. Haven't we been talking about this for a year and a half or maybe even 2 years? It feels like that way to me anyhow. And so it comes down to what we always thought it would come down to, right, Ramona? The Lakers or the Cavs and possibly the Sixers. The only news nugget, if you want to call it that, is we know Daryl Morey. We know what he's like. We know that he was probably finagling right to the death to try to figure out a way to add LeBron to his arsenal in Houston. That's all but gone now. But other than that, to me, this is LeBron business as usual.
Ramona, can I ask you this? I mean, you've been covering the story like nobody else has, along with Woj.
Dreams about this story.
I know. You have the triple bylines, the machinations over the last week now.
Yeah.
Do you think LeBron can make the move before Kawhi?
I do. And I think that was why today is so important, is because that was the big unknown. If that was the pressure point on the Lakers, that's why there was this sort of hustle this week to see if they could get something done. But by him deciding to become a free agent, that pressure's now gone. And everything I've heard, Tony, is that he wants to make this decision quickly. And this is different from other LeBron free
quickly,
agents.
as in 11:59 tonight, as in Saturday, as in Sunday?
As in, I think we might know by early next week. And, I'm somebody who was standing in a gym in Vegas for 9 days while he was deciding last time. Dwayne Wade's coming to see him and all the kids are at his camp.
This time is going to be different.
This time I think it's going to be real quick.
So 5:05 Eastern right now. Wink, wink. Odds maker me, Sarah Spain. How likely is it that LeBron, Kawhi, and George wind up on the same team?
Oh, I don't think it's that likely. I'm going to say somewhere in the 30%. It's possible. The Lakers can make it happen with all three of them, but the number of moves that it would require to clear the space for all of them and for the other teams, for the Spurs to get everything they want from the Lakers, for Paul George to feel like he's joining a team that has enough pieces for him to want to not stay in OKC, all of that needs to go right. I think it is very likely that two of them end up in LA. I'm going to go 75% that at least two of them end up in LA.
I would say 0% that all three wind up in the same place. The most likely scenario seems to be Kawhi and LeBron together in L.A.
Jackie?
Yeah, but I think that's right. I think it ends up two in them. And I'm interested, Ramona, that you think LeBron goes first. But if he goes first, don't we agree that there's been some kind of conversation with either Kawhi or Paul George? So there's an understanding if he goes first. At least that's the only way it makes sense to me. It's no different than it has been the last 2 years. LeBron controls the NBA basketball universe, and we don't give him enough credit for literally taking over the power that used to be with ownership and now rests in the hands of the players.
I have a question I want to ask about that from an NBA perspective, but real quick, Jackie, you're in Boston, and Kawhi doesn't control his own destiny here. The Spurs do. Any chance the Celtics get in there for Kawhi?
I don't think so, Tony, and here's the reason why. Kawhi is telling the Boston Celtics and everyone that wants to listen he will not stay there beyond the year when his contract is up. I think the Celtics, if that weren't true, would have offered something and he'd be in Boston right now. The fact that he's not tells me that Kawhi is given the Celtics notice, I won't stay.
So then the last thing here, Ramona, and you can address this part of it. Jackie was suggesting the players have all the control. How do you think Adam Silver's watching all this? You think he's watching it from, well, we can use another super team, so this is great? Or are we thinking the league is run by the players, and we already knew this, but now this is another example of that?
Well, Adam Silver works for the owners, okay? But Adam Silver also has to remind the owners, this is great for your league. This is like must-see TV at the end of June and July. The whole nation is rapt paying attention right now. And
everybody.
Jackie's point was very well taken. LeBron James from the second he's been in this league, he's been the most important story in the league. I have a lot of numbers in my phone. He's got all of them.
You know,
he's got more
you
of
actually
them,
have the phone in your hand right now. That's how up to the minute you are.
Okay.
With what's
I'm looking at my. He's got all of them. If he wants to get a co-star, it doesn't have to be Kawhi. He can just call somebody else. Like the Lakers and brought in Magic to make this deal. They don't need that.
They don't need anybody,
LeBron
right?
making
it's
his
the
own
players
team.
Who are making the call. Well, it's the one league that kind of has that, and they can use that to their benefit. All right, you're saying everybody's wrapped. Maybe not so wrapped about the future of DeAndre Jordan, but let's explore that. Tim McMahon's story. Sources are the Mavs are making DeAndre Jordan the primary target. Is DeAndre Jordan primary target worthy for the Mavericks, Sarah Spain?
Listen, we all want to date the homecoming king, right? But if we know the homecoming king doesn't want to date us, then we start looking around at the rest of the high school and we see, how's the captain of the football team? Oh, maybe the basketball team. They're tall. They look nice. Listen, you're not going to get LeBron. You're not going to get Paul George. You're not going to get Kawhi Leonard. And you don't want Boogie Cousins. That's not going to work with the Mavs. So you look at who's out there that's a possibility that might come to you. And it's especially juicy, right? Because we know all of the things that went down the last time they went after DeAndre Jordan. So this time they're barring all chairs. They're barring all emojis that are related to travel. And they're just going to sit down and say it's time to come back together and see if this will work this time.
Similar analogy for you, Kevin Blackistone?
Well, I did go to an all-boys high school, so yes,
it still applies then. There we go. Good counsel. There we go.
There you go. Good. So, it's 2018. It's not 2015. And the game has changed even from then. And so I don't understand why the Mavericks would be interested in a big man who is a lob and catch dunker, who can barely shoot free throws, who's a rebounder but a rim protector, when everybody in the league is talking about getting big guys who can shoot threes and guard the three. So it seems like to me they might want to look around. I know they got the kid coming in from Europe to be their next Dirk Nowitzki, but, it's going to take him a minute to develop.
Jackie Mack?
Well, so the big guy that you just described is Doncic, though, and he's a point guard. He's a 6'8", 9, 10, whatever you want to call it, point guard. And so he does make a little bit of sense he could be that guy that's going to send up the lob for Jordan. Do you want to pay Jordan this much money, DeAndre Jordan? I don't, but again, look at the landscape. We know Boogie Cousins and Rick Carlisle would last even less time than Rondo and Rick Carlisle lasted, okay? It's just not going to work. So they're going to take the best available big man. I don't expect him to get a 5 or 6 year deal. I expect it to be shorter, and then they go on from there. And it brings Dirk back at less money because that'll have to be part of it.
And Ramona?
I mean, I just can't believe we've been having this conversation after the last time. I'm proud of Mark Cuban. I thought he would never speak to DeAndre Jordan again or call his agent or anything. And the fact that we're even back here and talking about what emojis we're going to use that's real growth. Good for Mark.
Real growth.
Got over it.
Yeah. You know what that is? Growth. We'll move on. One more story. Speaking of growth, the New York Knicks, have they ever experienced growth? They say they've repaired the relationship with Kristaps Porzingis. We know this because the Knicks president, Steve Mills, said so. Also, you saw Enes Kanter's opt-in post today. That's a yikes for me. All good, and assuming all goes to plan. Jackie McMullen?
I think that they have repaired their relationship with Porzingis, and I think it's taken some time. But the real problem there was Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson and all the chaos that surrounded him, and Carmelo Anthony was here with the Knicks, is what got Porzingis sort of ticked off and had him leave the exit interview without talking to Phil Jackson. All those problems have been smoothed over. They've gone away. And remember this, Porzingis is coming off an ACL. He's going to miss part or maybe even all of next season. So he's not really in a position to deal from a lot of strength anyway. You bring Porzingis back, you let him ease back in. That means you're probably going to get a high draft pick to pair with him. And then you look at free agency next summer and hope you can convince Kyrie Irving to come to the Knicks.
Kevin Blackstone?
Well, I would just say that if it were fully repaired, then Fizdale and Craig Robinson would not be planning to go to Latvia to see Porzingis. Everything would be good, and they would just wait for him to come back here. So they probably got a little ironing out to do. Just let him know everything's good, and when he gets back here, Phil Jackson's not going to jump out of a closet and all of a sudden be running this team again. So I think they're that close.
Mm-hmm. Sarah Spain?
I think a bit of a clean slate with the coach and the GM is important. I think Jackie's right. Phil Jackson was the real issue here. You've still got the same ownership, so if there's any issues there, we'll have to see if there's something to be remedied there. But I think most important to me coming out of this story is the Knicks' comment about his brother. We need to bring his brother, who's his agent and manager, into the fold, make him feel like a part of the team. You usually don't hear that about regular agents and managers. You hear it about relatives. And with Reggie Rose and Derrick Rose, and with Kawhi Leonard and his uncle, I don't know anything about Porzingis and his brother, but I'm just saying,
it's Giannis Porzingis.
Keep an eye on that.
Here's what I know. He kind of looks like Christoph Waltz a little bit, from Inglourious Basterds. He kind of looks like him. That's what we know about him. The last word, Ramona Shelburne.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Knicks actually have some front office harmony for the first time in a long time, so that's a good start in repairing the relationship. But I think the issue was Phil Jackson, but it was also his long-term injury concerns, and those still have to be addressed.
That's a bingo. We're taking a break. Buy or sell next. Do you guys see stock prices for MSG spiked today under the idea Dolan might be selling the team?
I'm a Knicks fan. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah, so maybe
Out of here.
Knicks fans like this.
That's a bingo.
Buy or sell.
How Oregon State won the World Series. That comeback in Game 2 when they were one strike from done and that foul ball that could have ended it still looming large. Adley Rutschman at the plate, who Arkansas could not retire. He set a record for hits. And the unhittable Kevin Abel. 4 wins in the CWS. The complete game shutout to close it down. 5 days, 247 pitches, 95 to close out Mississippi State Saturday, 23 in Game 1, and 129 to roast Pig Suey last night. Too many pitches, Ramona, and what are you buying? What are you selling from the Beavers? National title.
Look, you're talking to a former college softball player. Our pitchers would just throw every day, 10 innings if you needed them, just trot them out. I know it's a different game.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a different game, okay? But, look, this is the College World Series, and I know 247 pitches in a 5-day span is a lot and probably too much, but try asking the kid if he wanted to come out. He wanted to be out there every single game. So I'm fine with
Spain,
it.
you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you can't just ask the kid because, of course, he's going to want to be out there. He's not thinking about his future prospects in baseball, and the coach is the one who needs to be thinking about that. So it does give you some red flags. I will say, though, this kid said this was the first time he went 9, and if you're going to save him up, if you're going to do it at some point, you're going to do it in the clinching game of the College World Series where him and all of his other teammates who might never make it to a higher stage get that win.
And Blackstone.
There's a reason they have pitch counts in a lot of high school conferences around the country now. There's a reason we talk about pitch counts in colleges. Ben McDonald, for anybody around the Baltimore area, remembers what he was not after he left LSU and came here. So I think you have to have some concern.
Jackie McMullen.
I understand what you're saying, KB, for sure. But the concern for me would have been that game 2, when you brought him in and he pitched 30-some-odd pitches. That's the place where I would say, okay, sit him down. You didn't need to bring him in for that game. How are you going to tell this kid in a clinching game when he's just knocking everybody down in order that he can't finish out the game at 127 pitches? I totally understand where they're coming from here. But I understand you too, Kevin. But if I were out there, I would have liked to see, and I would have wanted my manager to.
Sounds like you understand everything, Jackie. Very good. We'll move on. Buy or sell, too. Sox, Yanks, games 7, 8, and 9 of the 19, maybe more they'll play this season. They have the 2 best records in baseball going in. What does it mean, Jackie?
Well, it's going to be fun because these guys are both playing great. They both have, the Red Sox have amazing pitching right now. The Yankees have great hitters. But the interesting thing to me, Tony, here in Boston is I don't know why there's not more buzz about this Boston Red Sox team. You would think that people would be going crazy over it with young stars like Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts and David Price, like him or not, is pitching great. Chris Sale's been unbelievable.
You're saying the Red Sox are underrated. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying they're underrated in my own city. People don't appreciate them enough. Maybe this series.
It's almost like somebody needs to win and around the horn and do a FaceTime on them. You've had opportunities to talk about them. You've avoided talking about them. Ramona Shelburne, how about you?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think this is important because both of these teams are young teams on their way up, and presumably they're going to have a lot more battles this year, next year, and years forward if they continue to grow at the rate they are. In terms of the standings, though, this is like June, July. I mean, it's early.
Yeah, this is going to be huge because it's airing on ESPN Sunday night. Right, that's why, because obviously it's going to be fun to watch. This is the latest in any season that these two teams have met with a .650 win percentage or higher for both teams. We're going to get a look at two teams that we expect to be deep in contention. And yeah, absolutely, Ramona, there's plenty of time left in the season, and if they win or lose now, it's not going to affect whether they make the postseason, but it's sure going to be fun to watch.
Well, a win in June counts the same as a win in September, and one of these teams is going to be playing a one-game wild card playoff. So, Blackistone, how about you?
Right. How unfair is that we still have that in baseball? So given that, yeah, this does mean something, but you would think that with all the baseball left to play coming up, we haven't gotten to the All-Star break, that in the rearview mirror, this probably is not going to mean that much.
Amazing, right? NBA has 7-game first-round series. They play 82. Baseball has 162 games.
Rid of that.
And their first round is 1 game. We'll move on. Buy or sell 3. Joey Votto antics, which included getting ejected in the top of the first inning Wednesday for arguing balls and strikes with umpire Carlos Torres. And helmet off, face-to-mask, benches-clearing discussion with Brewers catcher Eric Kratz yesterday. Sarah, buy or sell Votto?
I'm actually buying Kratz here because he said after the game, we were just discussing the Canadian dollar and the flawed system in both of our governments. So I really like that. I like playing it off like that. I'm not really buying Votto's temper. He needs to keep himself in the game for his team and stop with the balls and strikes argument.
Yeah, I got to sell it. I mean, one thing you can say about Votto is his passion is great for the game, but that's an explanation for his explosions like this. A couple years ago, he got into it with an umpire, made contact, got suspended for a few games. I don't get it.
Jackie Mack?
I do. I get it. You know what's going on here? You got a ball player that's really, really good, that's on a really, really bad team, that's been bad for a while, and he's watching the prime of his career just go poof. I'm not giving excuses, just explaining how it looks to me.
Ernie Bunch.
Look, I want a guy who plays hard every day, and if you've seen his plate discipline and you've seen the stats on his plate discipline, he's probably right. If I'm an umpire getting in an argument with him, I might be questioning myself.
It's off the charts between he and next. He's first. Between first and second. It's like second and 100 in plate discipline. Well, we should ask David Letterman and Jerry Seinfeld what they think of Joe Votto. They have a better exchange with him than an umpire. Sarah Spain, Jackie McMullen. Good scores for the PPG. Weekend starts right now. Shelburne, Blackistone. Showdown next.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did.
Ramona Shelburne and Kevin Blackistone Showdown. Real quick, start with this. Tug of war. One big Michigan wrestler versus 50 little school-age wrestlers. Who you got? Make a pick and we're going to roll the tape. Go ahead, Ramona.
I got the big guy. He's winning.
Kevin Blackistone?
I'm taking the little guys all loaded up with that weight.
Big guy, come on.
Come on, kids. Come on, kids.
On him. Don't
Kevin Blackistone gets it right. That's a 3-point bonus for Kevin Blackistone.
Hey.
It could have gone either way, right? Weren't you surprised?
Really,
All right, showdown 2.
I don't think he was trying.
Mystics 80, Liberty 77. The Del Dunn buzzer beater last night. You want credit for the shot inbounds play or blame to the defense or lack thereof, KB?
Oh, this is all credit to the play, all credit to the shot, all credit to the screener who got her loose. You got to love all of that for the Mystics, who, by the way, are 10-5 now, sitting atop the conference.
I know you love Della Dawn. I do too. We all think she's great.
Yes,
but where is that defense? You see that? You got to fight through the pick, man. You got to get somebody within 5 feet of her. My goodness.
You know, if Brad Stevens would have drawn this up, it would have been sent straight to the Hall of Fame. Mike Tibble did an amazing job there. Great play. Point, game. Kevin Blackistone fired up in the showdown.
You all heard now that one of the people who lost their lives in Annapolis in the massacre yesterday was a sports writer by the name of John McNamara. And I want to give John a shout out. I didn't know him, but many of my students did. And they remembered him on social media yesterday for being a great mentor. Like my friend Connor Letourneau, who covers the Warriors now for the San Francisco Chronicle, who said that this is devastating. John is a definition of a classy vet who took me under his wing in my Diamondback sports days. And then also from Daniel Gallen, who said he spent his senior year sitting next to John at Terps Hoops games. It was always great to hear stories from his time at Maryland decades before. R.I.P. So a man who's lost his life has given so much to those who will go on in this sports reporting industry, and we are just thankful for the mentorship that he was able to provide.
And to all the souls at the Capital Gazette, we pray for thee. I said this earlier in dealing with grief. The most human condition is dealing with grief. Humanity needs to be better.